And if it flipped, I think the main theme of our story is don't judge a person by how they live. Because Mr. Lokiski said they must be dealers. I think he said that because the bakers gave most of their money to Mr. Baker's brother, but the bakers didn't care if people did or didn't have money.
I do kind of agree with you, but I also think another main theme is perspective, because you always flip between two perspectives at one part of life. Like during the story, for each chapter, like you'd see Bryce's side, then you'd see Julie's side of each chapter.
I disagree. I think it's between the conflict between Bryce and Julie in the book.
I kind of agree with Francesca because I think it's don't judge someone for what they have, because like he kind of judged her because like how her house looked and like what her uncle like her uncle and about like her uncle and stuff. What do you think, Keely?
Oh, okay. Well, I think the main theme is friendships can change over time, because during the book, Bryce didn't like Julie at first, but then kind of like towards the end, he liked Julie. Yeah.
Going off of Colton's idea of the main theme, I think that's the main conflict. Because, well, you keep seeing Bryce reject Julie, then the other way around near the end of the story, it causes problems, especially when their friends join in and other things happen, like the eggs, when Bryce was throwing them away because he didn't want to deal with them, and his mom was worried about salmonella poisoning when Julie was making loads of money off the eggs. And Bryce doesn't say everything in his chapters, I think, because in Julie's, she brought up the fact that he said, if you were just trying, if they were paying you, then why were you being friendly to us? And he didn't say that in his chapter. What do you think, Jace?
I think going back to Jovi's idea, you don't just judge someone by how they live, because you have to look on the inside, just not just the outside.
Going off of the idea of the main conflict that we think is the main theme, I think the main conflict is they both like one another at one point in the book, and that flips between the two, and they just don't really know what to think at the end of the book.
I agree with him because Bryce, he was mean to her, and then he decided to like her after, he hurt her feelings, and, made her mad at him, and then he tried to kiss her, and she didn't know what to do because she was mad at him for, all the stuff that he did. I agree with you, Jovi, and I also think that the main conflict in this book is not realizing people are nice and try to help you, but you don't notice it till the very end because, like you said, he wanted to kiss her at the end, and they both liked each other at one point, but Bryce tried to ignore the fact about Julie, and that's why I think that.
I want to bring up a topic that continues off of Jovi's and Fran's about the importance of perspective. If we saw this story from mostly Bryce's side most of the time, we would have hated Julie, and if the other way around, we kind of didn't like Bryce because he wouldn't like be friendly. What do you think, Haley?
Well, I agree with you, but I think the main conflict is Bryce and Julie not getting along at the beginning because when Bryce was moving in and when Bryce was moving in, Julie came over and Bryce just thought she was a weird, crazy kid because she was muddy and trying to help and he didn't want.
Yeah, he even called her a mud monkey at the beginning of the book. But I really like how the book ends with like a cliffhanger of how they like started to kind of become friends and they were going to visit. But what you were talking about, the main conflict, is not what I was talking about. I was talking about the importance of perspective. Do you have an idea of what's the importance of perspective, Colton?
I think it's you need two sides of a book or a story to understand the book or story fully. So you can, like, if we just had Bryce's perspective, we'd think Julie was the bad guy.
Yeah.
But with both, it kind of flips every once in a while.
What do you think, Jace?
I think that what Colton was saying was like true, but I also think that you don't always have to have two perspectives because the book I'm reading only has one, and I think it explains it very well. Again, what do you think, Jovi?
I think that it's kind of like, you need to see things from the other person's perspective. Because see, if he kind of knew, if he knew more about her uncle, then he would know that that's why her house looked bad and it wasn't her fault.
I agree with you, Joey. And I do think the same thing as Colton and Kip because they say that if we didn't see both perspectives from Julie and Bryce, we may not have liked Julie or we may not have liked Bryce.
I like to go off of Jace's topic about the one perspective thing. Most books do only have one perspective, but it's always good to have two if it has two main characters in a plot. It would be good to see two sides of the story, especially if it was the good guy and the enemy, or both the main characters' thoughts and opinions of what's going on. What do you think, Fran?
I agree with you that it helps with two perspectives mostly, because in this story, if we just had one perspective, we would have thought either Julie or Bryce was a bad person. But the way that I see it is when you have two perspectives, it helps you understand some conflicts between some people, and you see it in different ways.
I would like to add to that. If you just have one perspective, you think that they might be the good guy or the bad guy, and everybody else is either bad or good. It's not going to flip, and that's why I like two characters, because you get a description from both of them. So you think, oh, maybe he's the bad guy here and she's the good guy. And sometimes the characters leave out details, which you want all the details so you can get a better understanding of the book.
Yep. And with the two perspectives, I want to bring up the main conflict again of the relationships. It'd be good to know what would be happening between Bryce and Julie when they're at school in the conflict of the relationship. And good thing there is that in the book, so we know what's going on thanks to the two perspectives deal. What do you think, Jovi?
Yeah, I agree with that because you know, like if you see something how the one person sees it, you're gonna think they're the bad guy, you know?
I think it really helped when we started doing like summaries because it helped us get a better understanding. And sometimes when we shared the summaries, we got what other people were thinking.
I agree with Corbin because, like, if we didn't summarize it between some of the scenes, some of us might not like think, like, be thinking of the stuff that just happened. Like, say if I was in math and I didn't stop to ask questions, I probably wouldn't understand it. So that's why I liked that book, that we stopped and summarized the theme.
I want to bring up one of the topics that was the main theme. Someone said don't judge a book by their cover and the way they act. One part in the chapter I wanted to bring up was the Basket Boys and how Bryce and his friends, people, didn't want this one person to vote on them because of looks, size, or appearance, something like that.
I agree with Kit, but I also think that just because you think that they're a bad person doesn't mean that they are. Because when Bryce thought that Jumbo Jenny he didn't like her because of the way she looked and because she was kind of fat. And I also think that when you first look at someone, you shouldn't just judge them because you have to get to know them better.
Yes, and they should have given everyone a chance because they might turn out to be a good friend.
At the beginning of the book, when we first started doing summaries, I started taking them home, and I had my mom read them so she could get an understanding of the book. And she said it explained it pretty well for her. So I shared it with other people so they could get to know a little bit about our book so they could start reading it.
Very good. All right, good job, guys. Awesome. Okay, outside circle. What's your feedback on what the inside circle did well? Celebrate what they did well. Toby?
They did a really good job of bringing people in.
Yeah, everybody spoke. Good.
They did good, like, I agree with that.
Yeah, did we have just I agree with, I agree with, I
No,
agree with?
disagree.
No.
We had a disagreement.
And we did have disagreements, which is totally great. And we had a big variety of how we connected with other people. Yeah, great.
I used I agree with. I saw Chase said I agree with Kip, but I also think they used all the
Discussion connector statements. Yeah, a lot of different ones. Yeah, good. Trigger.
They weren't paying attention to the entire time. They were basically
Right there. Yeah, they were focused on the conversation and each other. Very good.
They did a really, really good job incorporating others in the conversation. They did a really good job.
Yeah.
I thought so as well.
So they brought it into life, something
They have personal connections.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
what it's
Right. Yep.
I like how we switched from different topics many times and going over important details that were in each chapter.
Right. You did use a lot of the book. I appreciated the fact that you did circle back because we don't have to go just one question, then the next, then the next. You can circle back because that's a natural conversation. And Kip was probably the main one who organized or used connector statements to help you participants know where you were in those discussion topics. Toby?
They had different opinions.
Yeah, it's great to have different opinions, different perspectives. Doris?
They use eye contact. I saw it when they were looking at my
Yeah, very good eye contact. Okay, great. What are some things that the outside circle will need to keep in mind that they might improve on when they get into inside circle? Chase?
Those things.
Okay, using more?
Yeah.
Use more.
Chase.
Know what to say. Know what to say, and when at the beginning, like know what you want to say already. So it
Okay,
takes a long
okay.
time.
And it's very good to have, you have prepared what you're gonna say, know that, but then also be able to not just stick to that if there's a new connection that can be made.
Like, when the timer almost went off, Fran was gonna about say something because she barely said anything at that point, and Colton just,
Just
so
not like.
I think like maybe let somebody that hasn't talked at that.
Okay, so
what
are some ways, since we don't have to raise our hand, we don't raise our hands in normal, everyday conversations that are substantive, having the nature of substance, what can we do to make sure that everybody knows, hey, I want to speak without going, hey, I want to speak?
Maybe like kind of get ready, like speak.
Okay, so be on the ball, one thing, yeah, what else?
Maybe like set up like a hand motion so you could go like that.
Yeah, we, as we are speaking in any typical conversation, we use our body language, non-verbal language, where we show more attention. We even kind of, use our hands. We're not going to like raise our hands like, we can use some non-verbals to let them know, hey, I am interested. I really would like to speak. Okay.
There are a couple of ways, like try to show that you want to speak, like about ready to talk, or like when no one's talking, like butt in and start with your own idea.
Okay, have the initiative. Yep. Challenge yourself. Push into the conversation. Yep.
Okay, something I'm proud of this time is I spoke less, and that makes me proud.
Okay, very good. I appreciate that. Balance in the conversation is so important. And lots of times that's something that's missing in our everyday respectful conversations. Somebody is a dominator and they might have great ideas, but being respectful and valuing everyone's is so important.
To keep moving on the topics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you guys did a very nice job of that.
I like how I spoke more than last time,
Okay.
because I only said one line.
Okay, so you've really pushed yourself in that. That's great. Perfect. And then
Nick Joby spoke more too.
yeah, you guys, I've seen tons of
No, it's me.
It's great. Okay, one last thing.
Jace talked without one of us. Before we ended, he talked by himself, and we didn't have to say, "What do you think, Jace?"
Yeah, so you guys, you're already out. Okay, we are very quickly and quietly going to switch spaces. If you have stuff with you in the outside circle, do not bring it with you in the inside circle except for your discussion. Can we go get it? No. Remember, the passing bell will ring. We are going to ignore it. And you'll get your break after.
Let's take my toe. Nick, you have to sit here.
Why does he see it so bad?
Sorry, because Jace was warm.
You're gonna chill.
I'm not sure.
Ready?
In our book Flipped, I think that the main theme is you need to get to know someone before you start to judge them, because if you don't get to know them, you don't know what they've been going through or why they're acting that way.
I agree with that, but I also think something else. Give people a second chance because Julie gave Bryce a second chance after the eggs, and then they became friends, kind of.
If what Joyce is saying, then what if you give them the second chance and then the third chance and then the fourth chance, and they make it worse every single time? Like you can you can keep on giving them eggs, but now they might throw them away and then burn the garbage bag. Yeah.
I agree with Nick because, you know, first judgments or whatever aren't that important, but if they keep being mean to you, you should probably do something about that.
So what you were saying, Kings, was that the main thing to you is judging?
Go ahead.
I also agree with Nick, but I think that there should be a line to when, like, it's okay to give them a second chance, but a third chance, I don't think you should give them that.
Karina, what do you think on this topic?
I agree with that because you should always give people a few more chances, but if they keep like being the same way to you, and if it's weird something, you should tell them about it something.
Yeah, I really agree with that, Karina, because it's just like you can give them a first chance, a second chance, maybe even a third chance, but by the time that they have that fourth chance and they just keep on acting that same way with you, you need to let them go, because if they're not taking those, I can't find the right words. Someone go on ahead. I can't think of anything.
Did Bryce get any second chances?
No.
So I'm gonna switch the topic to Bryce's first impression on Julie, and I don't think it was very nice of him to already judge that she was trying to help clean out all the boxes and packages into their house. I think that was pretty cool of her.
I agree with Nick because Julie was just trying to help, and Bryce just kind of like threw her out of the way, I guess. And like Bryce really never gave her a chance to show herself to them. And
I agree with that statement that everybody needs a second chance.
Back to first impressions, sort of when Julie was helping with the boxes when they were moving in, Bryce just took that first impression as her, like she was kind of rude, but she really wasn't. She was just trying to help.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like she took that first impression as her personality, as her personality, and as her like being rude and barging in and doing what she wants without asking anybody first. That's definitely the first impression that she got from him. But you can't always trust first impressions. Either if it's a good way or a bad way. The good way is that someone might seem annoying at first, but then you start to get to know them and they're actually a pretty good person. But the bad way is if they act really cool with you at first, and then as you continue to be friends with them, they start getting worse and worse.
I agree with that. I think first impressions are everything.
I think that first impressions cannot be trusted at all. Because they could be like, if you meet someone and then they could just be off that day, or they couldn't be themselves, or anything like that. But that's my opinion on it. What do you think, Karina?
I agree with that because if you're having a really bad day, and then maybe the next time you meet them again, you'll be really happy that day.
Well, what do you guys think the main conflict is in this story?
I think it is like I would say like you should just talk to people because when Bryce he wouldn't talk to Julie because like when she was giving him free eggs and he was scared of some kind of sickness. I don't remember. He was just like he was not gonna like talk to her and stuff because like he was scared of her and like he wouldn't talk to her.
So what you're saying is that the first impression was a bad first impression?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you guys think we are the sum of our parts? Like if like us humans are the sum of our parts, like Bryce's dad, he seemed like this all around happy, cool guy at the beginning of the story who like knew his kid, and like he even tried to like get his kid Bryce away from Julie because he knew that Bryce was not liking Julie and he didn't like Julie. But so he seemed like the all around good guy to us at first. But then towards the end of the story, we learned that he was very opinionated and would not like he didn't feel empathy.
I agree with that because like at the dinner party, Bryce's dad, he was like Julie's brothers and everything, Matt and Mike, and they have their own band and stuff, and then the CD player, they made their own CD, and then Bryce's dad just came in there and said, how can you afford all that stuff? And then they said that they got a job and stuff, and then after the dinner party, Bryce's dad said that they were selling drugs and stuff.
I agree with that. I also think that Bryce's dad doesn't have a good perspective about the bakers. He thinks they're like the worst people on earth.
What do you think, Rena?
I agree with that because we should, like, Mr. Orlovsky was like keeps talking about like what's happening kind of, and then the bakers are just like talking back to him as like a normal conversation.
What do you think, Shelby?
Well, I think that Bryce's dad kind of just did not get a very good first impression of them. Because Bryce got to know Julie, and so he didn't think she was that bad. But if Bryce's dad would have, not have been mean to them, then maybe he would have been nicer.
Sorry. This kind of goes with what you guys were talking about. I think it's kind of bizarre how long the two families went without like having one another over for dinner, and I think that is because the Lowskis looked at them and thought like, hey, they probably they have a crap yard and they're living the low life. They're bad people, all from that, and then they turned out to be really nice people.
I agree with that, and I really think that's the exact perspective that he was thinking about the bakers. That just, oh, if their yard is a mess, they must be terrible people. They're disgusting. I hate them. I never want to meet them. I never want to talk to them. Good for them.
Transitioning off of that, what do you get? I think the perspective of the story would have been a lot different if we had seen from Uncle David's point of view. I think it could have been a lot more depressing. He could be talking about the inside walls of the Green Haven where he was housed at, and seeing all these different people and throwing the fit at the ice cream store. Maybe if he thinks about that.
I agree with that, but I also think the perspective of the story is you usually when you want to hear a story, it sounds a lot better when you see A and B or C, how many people are in it, instead of just hearing just A and hearing their
I agree with that, and I also think that perspective is very important to the story because you can really get to know the character. You can get the feel of the character, and you can understand what they're going through. Because forgot what I was gonna say.
I I agree with that. I think that Bryce's grandpa, it was good that he gave Bryce wisdom.
What do you guys think about the front cover? About the flipped chicken?
I feel like the title Flip, it goes like really well with the story because because we see both sides of the story and sometimes each side of the story is like flipped because Julie, when they were talking stuff, Bryce didn't give us as much evidence, and Julie gave us a lot more evidence than we did.
I think the front cover means they flip perspectives about each other.
I think I'm gonna go off the flipped because so at the beginning Julie likes Bryce, but then they flip sides basically. They go Bryce starts to like Julie and Julie starts to dislike Bryce. So I think they flipped in that way. I think that's the major way they flipped for me.
I think the title really suits the book because there's a couple reasons. The perspective flips a lot, and their families, like personalities, completely flipped. Their lifestyles flipped. I think it just suits it.
Very good. Awesome job, guys. Let's celebrate what the inside circle this time did.
I just like wanted to bring up another thing I wanted to talk about their book cover because the story can really flip you on your head.
Yes. So that was actually a good thing. That's a totally different question. That wasn't one that we prepared, and you added it. It was fabulous. Okay, what else did we do that was great?
They gave more examples.
Examples, yes, good. What else did they do well?
They included edit.
Yep, everyone got to speak. Good. Anything else? In what way?
Like more people, put more people in, and going over more topic, bringing up more things that happened in the book.
Okay, and when you say bring more people in, you mean maybe a better balance of people sharing?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah.
They did a good job sharing. But there's just one thing that I noticed.
Okay, what would we keep in mind for next time for all of us?
Make sure everybody gets everybody has the same amount of talking, because I noticed that Corbin didn't talk as much as the
That's pretty balanced.
That's totally
But that is something we all need to keep in mind. Yes.
I noticed that Corbin spoke like a robot.
Oh, no, I didn't think that at all.
Why is everybody hating on Corbin?
And actually, I appreciated the fact that that Corbin a number of times used the paraphrasing, putting it in another way, is so good for us. It's such a strong connection that we can make by paraphrasing something that was just said. That's how we understand it. So you're studying, in other words, okay, those types of connections. Well,
I did notice one thing that they didn't get as far as we did in the topics.
okay, but they got just as many topics.
Yeah, they got
different. Yeah, and that's what a natural conversation oftentimes does. It moves to a new direction depending on the input from people.
Well, I think that the outdoor group covered the other kind of topic, and then we brought in different topics, so the book was actually completely
Yeah, because you were second, it was definitely more appropriate for you to bring in other questions. Yeah.
By the time that you spoke of saying we should use a little bit more paraphrasing, I was ready for the time that I would to use it.
I like how they didn't just kind of copy all of our topics.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
We didn't get to the point where
was my only.
Some of ours, like, they eat one and it's not hard.
Okay, yeah, so, and that's important too, when you know there is more to say about a topic, another direction to go, that you actually take the opportunity to go there, that's fantastic. Yeah, great job, guys. What I want you to do before you take the break is to turn your paper over to the rubric again. This time, put a check mark next to the skills that you say, yes, I did that, all right? Even if it was one that you hadn't planned on for sure using, if you used it, give it a check mark. Then put it up on my desk, take a very quick break and come back for our reflection. Great job, guys.
That was good. I didn't even